The coronavirus pandemic is having a huge impact on the restaurant business, including fast food giants like McDonald's. The company announced this week that global sales were down nearly 24% last quarter. McDonald's plans to close about 200 stores here in the U.S., and it just unveiled new initiatives to tackle the pandemic and racial injustice, including measures to address hiring bias. Only on CBS This Morning, President and CEO Chris Kempczinski joins us from McDonald's global headquarters in Chicago. Mr. Kempczinski, thanks for being with us, and thanhanks for joining us. I wanted to ask you to start off by explaining what the new initiatives are.
What we just announced yesterday to our entire system, it was 12,000 people joined us across 93 countries, was refreshing our company values. These are values that started with Ray Kroc 65 years ago, and it's something I believe very passionately about as a leader. And so we announced a set of values, 5 values, one of which, as you mentioned in the opening, was around diversity and inclusion. So that's what we announced yesterday.
So part of these ideas came from your own experience on a global listening tour of McDonald's workers. What did you hear that surprised you?
I think I don't know if it was a surprise so much as just a reaffirmation about how important it is for us to be talking about values, whether it was down to the crew person all the way up to my senior team. There's a strong desire for us to be talking about values because it's a common vocabulary. It's something that across the globe, we have 2 million people that work in the McDonald's system. When we talk about values, it sets expectations and it ensures that all of us are living up to those. So I think just for me, what I heard on the listening tour was just a reminder about how important it is for us to continue to reinforce the values because it's what makes McDonald's such a special company.
What specifically will you try to change, and how will you ensure that it actually happens?
I think across all the values, for me, what we're trying to do is just make it more part of how we're operating on a day-to-day basis. So one of the values is about keeping our people and our customers first. And that, in the case of the pandemic right now, is all about safety. And so we're spending a lot of time right now in our restaurants making sure we can keep our crews safe, making sure we can keep our customers safe. But I think the thing about these values is they're enduring. They're not something that's just a moment in time. They last for 65 years. We just use them to animate our actions as a situation arises. So right now we're dealing with the pandemic, and we've got a set of initiatives there that I've been very proud of how our systems responded.
You're now requiring masks in restaurants.
Yes, we are.
And when did you make that decision?
That was a decision that we made last week, and that was requiring it for customers. We've actually, for quite some time, required our crew to wear masks. But we thought that it's, in light of what we're seeing, it's prudent now that we also ask our customers to wear masks in the restaurant as well.
And how are you planning to enforce that?
We've done a whole training with our crew in restaurants about expectations and how to work with customers and explain to customers why we have the requirement to wear masks. The thing I'm pleased to announce or talk about is 1 week into this, the vast majority of customers are more than willing to wear a mask. I think the vast majority of people, vast majority of Americans understand why it's important to be wearing a mask. In the event that we do have someone who's unwilling to wear a mask, we've also done training around de-escalation. But ultimately, we're not going to be asking our crew people to put themselves in harm's way. If someone is unwilling to wear a mask and comply with our rules, that might be where we might bring in law enforcement.
All right. The Nation reported this week, the magazine The Nation, that McDonald's employees, scores of women who work at McDonald's, have accused the company of fostering a culture of sexual harassment and actually punishing workers for speaking out. What are you doing to address these allegations?
I think anytime you hear about something like that, it's disturbing. It certainly goes against everything that we stand for as a company, everything that I want us to be doing around diversity and inclusion. So the first thing is when you hear about a situation like that, it's to go in and find out what went wrong. And we need to make fixes quickly in those situations. We need to understand how do we do better. And for me, this goes back to values. We're going to continue to reinforce a set of expectations, one of which is around everybody should be able to come to McDonald's and contribute. And it should be nothing based on more than the job that they do here. And so there's no place for the situation that you described, and we will address it.
You're facing dozens of legal complaints. Do you believe you have a problem of workplace harassment?
I'm proud about how our company and our crew and our franchisees, how we treat people. You don't get to be a brand and a business the size of McDonald's without treating people well, being a good employer. But in a system of our size, you will have situations the like of which you're talking about there. Again, when those situations crop up, it's important for us to acknowledge them, address them, and do everything we can to learn from it. And so as CEO, that's certainly what I'm committed to make sure happens.
All right, Chris Kempczinski, CEO of McDonald's, thank you so much for being with us.